Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Marriage Podcast, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my tools is one path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in couples therapy. If you're looking for a retreat, you're looking for a getaway, you want to come to Colorado, or maybe you already live in Colorado, consider attending my Total Marriage Refresh Conference coming up July 27th. This is my conference I've been doing for around 10 years. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it's where you get to learn all the skills and tools from me on how to really build a healthy relationship. It's one day, it's on Sunday, July 27th from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm there all day. It's set up as a classroom style, so there's no group sharing. It's just me teaching throughout the day, and then you have pockets throughout the day to apply what you're learning with your spouse. It's really powerful, very impactful. If you want to learn more, click the link in my show notes or go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, and click on Colorado Marriage Retreat. So today I'm talking about the power of forgiveness in marriage. Forgiveness is thrown around a lot, and a lot of people will say, well, why don't you just forgive me? Can you forgive me? Why don't you just forgive? Forgiveness is tossed around like that really casually, and forgiveness is actually much more complex. Forgiveness is tricky. And I actually encourage you to don't ask your partner to forgive you, because that creates undue pressure and it's actually unrealistic. And we're going to go through today the steps that you need to make in order to forgive your partner. But if you're the one who's broken trust, you're the one who's had hurtful behavior, it's not realistic to just say to your partner, will you forgive me? Can you forgive me? That's something that needs to be earned. That's something that needs to happen over time. And what I'm going to go through today in these steps are the steps that are required in order to naturally forgive your partner. You don't start with forgiveness. You need to start with some other things, and these other things create forgiveness as a byproduct. It's something that just happens as a result of these other actions. The first thing is if your partner has hurt you, if they have a pattern that has created resentment toward them, the first thing you need to be able to forgive them is you need them to hear you. You need them to own something. You need them to empathize with the impact that they've had on you. And you need them to apologize. You need that. Think of that as step one. I need those things in place, or else it's really difficult for me to forgive you. And a lot of times we don't get that, because when we bring up a resentment, we're attacking our partner, we're accusing them, they get defensive, then we feel invalidated, and then we're stuck in our resentment. We can't move forward. And this is why I constantly talk about my Reunite tool, because it provides those things. If you haven't ever used my Reunite tool, that's what it provides. The structure of the Reunite tool allows you to get those things from your spouse. You're going to feel like they hear you. They're going to have to own something. They're going to have to empathize with their impact on you. They're going to have to apologize for the impact on you. So you get these things I just described by using the Reunite tool, which is why we use the Reunite tool with every couple that goes through the doors. It's the tool to help us address resentments because it provides all these things I just described. So let me walk through them really quick. Having your partner hear you means that you're able to describe your hurt, your resentment, and then they're going to respond back with summarizing what you said, so that at the minimum you feel like they heard me. They didn't defend themselves. They didn't justify their behavior. They just summarized back to me what I described. And now I feel, at the minimum, I feel heard. Okay, that's what I mean by you need to feel heard. If you don't feel heard, it's hard to let go of the resentment. It's hard to move forward. The next piece is you need them to own something. You need some ownership. And what I mean by ownership is you need your partner to say to you, I own that I have a tendency to do this, or I own that I did that. You need them to own something, because we almost never hear our partner owning anything. When we're upset with them about a behavior, they defend themselves. We don't hear ownership. And if you don't hear ownership, it's very hard to forgive, because your partner is acting like they've done nothing wrong. But when they own something, when they own their behavior, when they own what they've done, that helps us forgive. The next thing is empathy. We need our partner to be able to empathize with how their behavior made us feel, with how it impacted us, with how it hurt us. And if you don't feel like they're empathizing with how their behavior impacted us, it's very hard to move forward. because again, it comes off like they really don't care how much it impacted us. They really don't care how much it impaired us. They really don't care how much they hurt our feelings. But if they can empathize with how they impacted us, if they can empathize with how much it hurt us, now we feel like they care, and now it's easier to forgive. The next piece here is apology. We need our partner to apologize for this piece that they're owning. We need them to apologize for hurting our feelings. We need them to apologize for making us feel the way their behavior made us feel. We need the apology. And without the apology, it is hard to forgive. It's hard to move forward. And so that's step one. That's step one of what we need to forgive and move forward. We need them to hear us. We need them to own their behavior. We need them to empathize with how their behavior impacted us. And we need them to apologize. Number two is we need them to make changes and to sustain those gains over time, because talk is cheap. Your partner can say all the right words and say all the right phrasing. And while all of that is very essential, if it doesn't turn into actual change, then it's going to be very difficult to forgive, because the best way to say sorry is changed behavior. And so after your partner has heard you, after they've owned something, after they have empathized, after they've apologized, now the proof is in the pudding. Now we need them to make some changes. Now we need to see them putting in some effort to reverse this behavior they've had that has hurt us. This pattern of behavior that we have resentment around, we need to see them making progress, trying to curb that behavior, trying to do something different, something new, so that they're not continuing the same behavior that hurt us in the first place. We need to see the change. And when couples go through our Reunite tool, it ends with making amends, which is all about the ideas for change. It ends on that step. And then later, when couples get into the love buckets, that's where accountability for long-term change comes in. Because the love buckets integrate all of the takeaways from the resentments, all of the changes both partners are committing to, those are integrated into the love buckets. And then the love buckets, you review those once a week for accountability, so that you or your partner are not backsliding. Because that's a concern. When people go through the Reunite tool, they'll say, well, what if my partner doesn't change? What if they make an effort for a few weeks and then it fades? That's a normal concern for all of us. That's why these changes that your partner is saying they're going to make is integrated into your love buckets, so that you can give them feedback once a week on those changes for accountability. So that's number two. If you're going to try to forgive your partner, if you're wondering, how do I forgive my partner? You need to see them making consistent changes over time. Now, change is hard. And so your partner's not going to be perfect at these changes, but you want to view it similar to the stock market, where if you zoom out, you want to see overall your partner is slowly getting better. Doesn't mean they're going to be perfect, doesn't mean they're going to backslide, doesn't mean it's not going to be up and down at times, but overall what you want to feel some hope is you want to be able to zoom out and see over time, I see them putting in consistent effort and making changes. That's going to help you forgive. Number three, you as the person who's been hurt need to make a decision, a micro decision, many, many times to give your partner another chance by opening your heart back up to them. Because this is what happens. When you get hurt, most likely you have put your partner into an unsafe bucket. They're not safe anymore. They're actually dangerous because they've had some behaviors that have hurt you. Maybe they've neglected your needs. Maybe they've had a behavior that's felt disrespectful. Maybe they've broken your trust. Whatever it is, you've probably on a subconscious level put them into an unsafe bucket. And so it's hard to get them out. Even if they've done all the right things, they've said all the right things, they may still be in that unsafe bucket in your heart. Now, what you have to do is make a micro decision day by day to slowly move them out of that unsafe bucket and back into the safe bucket. And what makes this harder is if you have trauma in your upbringing. If you've been hurt by people growing up, it's very easy to put your partner into an unsafe bucket and then wall off from them in order to survive, because that's probably what you had to do growing up. And I can relate to this. So I had some trauma growing up. I was hurt growing up. And so I developed that coping mechanism of, if someone is unsafe, if someone hurts me, I put them into an unsafe bucket and I wall off to survive. And I've done that in our marriage. in the past when my wife has had behaviors that I resented, ways that she has hurt me, I put her into this unsafe bucket. And so even though she was doing the right things, was saying the right words and making the changes over time, I still had her in that unsafe bucket. So I had to intentionally choose to move her out of that unsafe bucket and slowly move her back into the safe bucket. But I had to work on that because it wasn't easy. Because once you put someone in that unsafe bucket, they can be there for good if you don't work at it. Now, the way to work at it is realize you're doing it. Realize that you're keeping your partner in that unsafe bucket. And then you have to look at the data, zoom out and look at their progress over time. And if they are sustaining the gains, if they are proving trustworthy, then you need to decide and make those micro decisions, sometimes daily, to slowly move them out of the unsafe bucket and into that safe bucket. So if you put those three things together, that's the power of forgiveness in marriage, and that's how you get there. Number one, you need your partner to hear you, own something, empathize, and apologize. Number two, you need them to make changes over time. And number three, you need to make micro decisions daily to slowly move them out of the unsafe bucket and into the safe bucket. If you want to learn all my tools, I highly recommend signing up for my Tools Marriage course. It's virtual, so you can join from wherever you live. We meet on Tuesdays from 5 to 5:45 Mountain Standard Time. And it's set up as a weekly class, so you learn the tools, you process, you practice the tools, and then you go home and implement the tools. And Tools is my most cost-effective resources. So if finances are tight, I highly recommend signing up for my Tools Marriage course. You can click the link in the show notes to learn more, or go to my website and click on Tools. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to share it with a friend, someone that you know is struggling in their marriage. And be sure to click the 5 stars and leave a review. When you leave a review, it sends a signal to the algorithm that people are enjoying this podcast, which makes them promote the podcast to more listeners so more couples can get helped. And remember, you are the only thing that you can control. So work on your side of the equation. What can you do better as a spouse? Focus less on what your partner can do better and more on what you can do better, because that's all you can control. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.